Hi, this is Dr. Daniel Miller. I'm a board-certified chiropractic neurologist practicing at Complementary Medicine and Healing Arts, 27 Jennison Avenue, Johnson City, New York. You can also find us on the web at www.naturallywell.us. Today I'm going to begin to show a little exercise program for individuals with movement disorders. Now, we all know that movement disorders such as Parkinson's disease are out there. However, movement disorders also really occur when you have things just as poor posture. Your body and your nervous system are no longer integrated appropriately, so you're not having that proper righting reflex to where you're standing up straight. So in my earlier video, Functional Neurology of Movement Disorders, we talk about how when we have a problem with our motor system, whether it be through a hard lesion such as with Parkinson's, the damage to the substantia nigra particulata, or if it's through aging where we're losing muscle mass, especially into our extensor muscles in our back, that our pyramidal system, the tracts such as the vestibulospinal, the reticulospinal, and the tectospinal tracts, lose proper integration. So they're not giving enough information back up to the brain, especially to the cerebellum, to make movement and to set tone properly. So a lot of times this will result in us having a stooped forward posture, a forward head carriage. It will cause us to have rolled shoulders. You'll sometimes see the little bit of familial tremoring that goes on in people's hands. You might notice a quiver in the mouth. These are also examples of movement disorders. These are much more functional nervous movement disorders that occur daily that we see all around the place. So though we don't necessarily go to see a neurologist for poor posture, we certainly come and see chiropractors. And poor posture really is a major gateway to bigger problems. Number one cause of death in all age groups except for our teenagers, which is automobile, but for everybody else, it's falls. So that's including small children all the way up through elderly. So when we have poor awareness to ourself and how we're moving through our environment, then we most definitely are going to start making adaptations that aren't correct. Be that a forward posture, a retro posture where we're leaning way back, be it a rolled shoulder, our foot flaring out when we're walking. These are all things that are affecting our sensory motor system and causing us to have perturbations or errors, changes in to the way we're supposed to be. So that has a profound impact on our nervous system, obviously, and not only does it not feed up to our brain right, but it then has outward expressions. And when we have the outward expressions, we have a problem. So how can we correct some of these things? Now, what I'm going to show today are some exercises that individuals with very little motor control issues or all the way up through to just have a hard time doing more aggressive exercises can do. So one thing we'll need is for this is you'll either need a pillow, or in this case I'm using one of my kids' little balls. It's about a 7-inch ball. You can get these at like dollar stores or a couple dollars like at Kmart. And you can do quite a bit with this. This is going to be used to help facilitate extension and extension posture so that you have greater awareness coming to an area which oftentimes is the root of our problem. So we're going to go over a bunch of exercises. Not every one of them is going to use this, but we are going to use this. So you may want to have some water. And as always, before you begin an exercise program, you should make sure that you're actually fit and able to. If any time during the exercise program you become fatigued or winded, if you feel like you have difficulty breathing, cease the exercise immediately. So always make sure that you're talking to a healthcare provider before you begin these exercises. So before we begin with our first exercise, I want to go over some breathing techniques to help us to improve our integration, especially to the NTS and dorsal motor nucleus of 10. Don't have to worry about the anatomy, like I always say. What these will do is help to increase lung function, to help that ability to be able to integrate and do the exercise for the length of time that we want, increase that metabolic ability, as well as you may see things like it helps to decrease blood pressure, helps to increase peristalsis in our digestive system. So before we actually begin with the first exercise, we're going to go ahead and practice some Ujjayi breathing or the victorious breath. Now, you can go out onto YouTube and take some beginner lessons in Ujjayi breathing. They're also, I'm going to cover it here. We're looking at it from a neurological perspective. And in doing so, we're going to start at a very basic level. We're not going to get into intermittent nostril breathing that some of you may know about through other practices. So Ujjayi breathing, or the victorious breath, is also the same type of breathing that we hear from Darth Vader in Star Wars. So we're going to think about that. And when we breathe in and out, we're going to be tightening up the back of our throat and breathing in through it. Now, when we do that, we're going to breathe in with an R, and it's going to sound like this. And out is going to be with an H. Now, the easiest way is to have your mouth slightly open when you first begin. This is a great exercise to be done for like the first 15 minutes of your day. It helps to really neurally integrate, like I said. So let's take a few seconds here and practice breathing. We're going to breathe in. Now notice that I'm breathing in and out in a 1-to-1 ratio. So I'm breathing in for a count of 5. I'm breathing out for a count of 5. You may not be able to do 5. You may be able to do 8. You may be able to do 3. Doesn't matter. We start where we're at. But we want to be consistent in our breathing in and out. So our ratio is to a 1-to-1 ratio. Again, you want to sit in a comfortable position, back upright, and just focus on that breathing in, tightening the back of your throat. In doing so, breathing in an R, out with an H, Again, as you do this, you may wind up overly exceeding your metabolic rate. You may start to feel lightheaded. Should that happen, cease, take a break, and then continue to practicing. And the exercise that I'm going to be showing, I'm going to be incorporating this type of breathing into it to help to maximize our neurological potential. But again, this breathing is an exercise that you can do on your own for up to 15 minutes at a time a day. And of course, for further information, you can always go to YouTube and look up other ways of doing this victorious breath. And then you'll get into the intermittent nostrils and stuff and go to more advanced. We're going to start very basic, like I said. So we're going to go ahead now and go to our first exercise. The first exercise that we're going to do today is going to be an extension exercise. I like to call it my angel bend. So what we do here for angel bends is we're going to take our ball here. I'm going to turn sideways. You're going to place this behind your back, up in your mid-back, because we really want you to be able to feel your mid-back moving. A lot of people say, but it feels more comfortable down lower. in the small of my back. I want you to be able to feel your upper mid back, so I want it up a little higher, just like you see here with me, kind of just before, or just a little bit below the center of your shoulder blades. Works really good. So then what you're going to do is you're going to place your hands, come forward, and then I'll turn sideways again, like this, in a prayer position. My elbows are out, kind of 3/4 turn here. Head is straight ahead. Now, let me just back up a little bit more so you can see. What you're going to do is you're going to focus your eyes on your thumbs. You're going to take your arms and you're going to bring them out at an angle, looking, and then you're going to come up and bend back. Your eyes are going to stay focused on your thumbs, so your eyes are going to go up and back as you're looking to help facilitate the posterior musculature. So from the side, or here, got my ball here, and I'm just going to scooch back just a little. So we're going to come out, up, and back, looking all the time at our thumbs, and then we're going to come back to set. I'm going to repeat. You want to make sure you're not holding your breath. You want to be breathing through the whole procedure. Now, we have covered Ujjayi breathing or the victorious breath. So this would be a good time to practice that with it. And so that would be like this. We'd be taking a deep breath in. We're going. Make sure you're tightening the back of your throat a little. You're breathing in an R sound. Breathing out an H sound. So you're kind of sounding like Darth Vader. Ujjayi breathing is really, really good to help to stimulate the nucleus tractus solitarius as well as dorsal motor nucleus 10. Again, we don't have to worry about getting into the details necessarily of neuroanatomy. But what do these help? These help to decrease our blood pressure. They help to address baroreceptor response, which control our blood pressure. They also help to stimulate peristalsis to help with digestion. So these are really good. Now, how long you do this for? You do it for 45 seconds to 1 minute. Now, if you become winded, you become dizzy, start tearing, and you're showing signs of metabolic fatigue, again, you're going to go ahead and you're going to discontinue the exercise. You might not be able to go that far. Now, there's an additional thing that we can do. And just scooching forward here a little, I'm going to reach in and I'm going to grab my metronome. Now, if you do have a movement disorder, or if you just tend to do things really fast, which is of course part of a movement disorder, metronomes are great. Yeah, I use Matrix here, model MR800. It has lights that go across, back and forth, and we can use it at various settings and various speeds. And of course, to have neuroplasticity, not only do you want to do it for a period of time, at least 45 seconds, but you also want to be able to do it at various frequencies. Now this goes as slow as 40 beats per minute and up to 208. I cannot go at 208 beats per minute. However, this is really good. What you can do is, if you're having trouble being on, you can either set it out where you can use visual cueing, watching the lights go back and forth. You can have someone hold it and come up with you also as you're going back, so that you can stay on beat. But what you can also do, and I'll have to set this down, you won't necessarily be able to see it. I'll actually try to see if we can hook it on here. Yeah, you'll be able to see it. I'm going to try to do this at a beat. I'm going to set it to 40 beats per minute. And again, with the Ujjayi breathing, I'm going to go. Even with me, it takes a little work getting used to going on. Let's go from the side. Good. And you continue that out for up to 1 minute, a minimum of 45 seconds. So that is the first exercise that we are going to cover today. And you can use the metronome. If you don't have a metronome, that's fine. Begin where you are. You can do a lot. You can download a lot of metronomes by just typing in free metronome into Google or Yahoo, and you'll be able to download some. So our next exercise that we are going to go to is going to be angel stands. Now, we can take our ball back because it'll fall. We can set that out. Gonna kind of come sit forward a little. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a variation. And before we just were coming up and back. Well, this time we're gonna stand up and arch ourselves back a little. And then we're going to sit down. Now the key is to be in a controlled fashion. So I'm going to move back a little bit more so that when I stand up, you can still see me somewhat. So I'm going to go all the way back here and you should be able to see me. All right. So again, we're going to be here. Now when we first do it, we won't add the breathing, but then we'll add Ujjayi breathing. So again, prayer pose. You're going to bring your arms out. Notice from the side, out. So I'm going to do this from the side. My elbows are out. They push out. I'm going to stand up following my fingers, and I'm going to arch back. Now, not everybody may be able to arch back the same. Some people can go a lot further than me. Other people can't go nearly as far. So it's going to come up, out, and back, and sit. Up, out, and back, and bring your eyes back down. Notice I'm keeping my eyes focused on my thumbs while we're doing this. So now you can also add in the victorious breath. And you're going to continue doing that for up to 45 seconds to 1 minute. Again, if you start to feel dizzy, short of breath, tearing, you're reaching metabolic fatigue, go ahead, sit down, and discontinue the exercise. So again, can you add this to the beat? You certainly can. You can add a metronome to it. And again, I'd have that on a lower setting. And if you have to, you may say, okay, I'm going to stand up to a beat, hold for a beat, come back down. So it'd be a 3 to 4 beat sequence, just like I showed when I was sitting down. It works probably best simply because the way my camera is, I won't put that on, but you can do that to the metronome. Metronome works really great because it gives visual cueing as well as an auditory cueing to help keep you on pace. So if you do have a motor disorder such as Parkinson's or Huntington's, go ahead and invest in these. They're about $35. You can get them at a local music store or online. And again, it's a Matrix MR800 is the model. The other great thing is with these, they all have an earpiece holder, and you can actually put in your ear. So if I give you instructions about walking at a certain cadence, you can do that. So that was our standing angel bends, and now we're going to go ahead and move on to our next exercise. These are going to be exaggerated leg lifts, and what I like with these, and again, metronome really comes in handy, is and I move the camera a little so you can see my legs, is a lot of individuals with movement disorders, such as Parkinson, you have that festinating gait or the stuttering stops going on, and you have a hard time with motor initiation. And in this case, we're going to go ahead and we're going to work on taking exaggerated big steps, right? Bringing our leg up, and we're going to do that with a metronome. So, and again, with neuroplasticity, not only do we want to do it at a given frequency for a given period of time, we want to be able to modulate between frequencies. So this time I set it for 46 beats a minute. It'll sound like this. And I'm going to set this off to the side, and we'll begin the exercise. When I hold our hands up like this, or have someone else, notice I'm about 7 inches up, and here we go. And if you need to, you'll use visual cueing to stay on beat. And what you want to do, if you're using visual cueing, you want to do this exercise for 45 seconds if you can build up to that. And then what you want to do is you want to close your eyes, no longer using visual cueing, and you want to see, am I on beat? Am I ahead of the beat? Am I behind the beat? And the best is if you have somebody there talking with you and telling you you're on, you're behind, or too fast. Again, you might not be able to make it 45 seconds, and that's okay. You start wherever you're at. If you can only go 10 seconds, you may only be able to lift an inch off the ground when you first start, and that's okay too. We begin wherever we're at, and then we go from there. So that's going to be our exaggerated leg lifts, and that comes in really, really quite handy. Now, the next exercise we're going to do is going to be the archer. Now, a lot of times what happens when we are having a movement disorder or any cognitive type faults for that matter, we oftentimes see this with ADHD, autism, and of course there's motoricity issues associated with that. Remember, we're talking movement disorders in very large terms here. And sometimes, we just, again, think of that only as like Parkinson's, Huntington's. But if you have low tone, and you see that a lot of times with individuals who have autism, they also have that flex stoop posture, right? So one of the things we often start to notice with that is that they have the reemergence of primitive reflexes. Specifically, a lot of times we'll see asymmetric tonic reflexes, and we'll see symmetric tonic reflexes, where they're up on all fours, we have them turn their head one way, and the shoulder dips. There's an asymmetric tonic reflex, that neck reflex that is reemerging. You'll see people when they, you have them tuck their hands and go wide, they fall right backwards. There's a STNR or symmetrical tonic neck reflex that is reemerging, and there's remediation for that. And for the ATNRs, we're going to start by doing the bow hunter maneuver. And again, I got to just move my camera down a little bit here so you can see, because my head isn't so important as it's my lower extremities. You will turn to the side that you're doing. So this is going to be my bow. And it's off here, and lower down just a little. And so what we're going to do is we're going to straighten this leg out. And from the side, it's kind of going to be at an angle out. It's going to be about 30 degrees out. So now I have my bow leg. My opposite leg is going to bend like this. I got my bow. I'm going to come around, pull back my bow. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to straighten this leg out, straighten this arm out, come around, pull my bow. And then turn around. Where else do you see this? You see this in Tai Chi. Wonderful Tai Chi. If you have a forward flex posture, you can take your ball, put it back with you. Here we go from the side. Looking always down at your thumb. You're going to be looking at your thumb. I'm now looking at my thumb. Leg is bent. Come over. Pull. So you got my ball back there. From here, arm reaches up, over, pull back. Good. And you're going to do that for 45 seconds to 1 minute. For the STNR, we're going to go right into the Starfish maneuver. And what that'll be is you'll cross your legs right over left, your arms right over left. You're going to bend forward. Then you're going to come up and you're going to open up wide. Now the ball's down in my lower back, but that's okay because I could still feel it giving me feedback. When I come up, now that you saw where my legs are, I'm going to show you my head, because this is also important, is that my head has come up. My legs are wide apart. If you have a hard time bringing your legs wide apart, such as with Parkinson, have someone take their hands, put them as a guide out to the side, and have you move your leg over on an exaggerated or big move till you run into their hands. Okay? But your head, I'll go back and show that in a second, but we're not, then you come back and you're left over left. Crossing midline, very important for cerebellar integration in the midline of the cerebellum. You'll bend forward, head is flexed down. You then open up, head comes up, you're looking to the ceiling, just like on our angel bends. Coming back down, right over right. Notice that I'm using the ball as a support here, so it gives me feedback and allows me not to just fall back, right? When you have an STNR, you lose that. That's that marrow reflex with babies. You fall back. So this is a great tool, for $1 or $2. Can't go wrong. Let me bring that back down and just show you the legs here on me here. So like I said, if you have a hard time and you're doing a little fussing, you have a hard time crossing midline, you're kind of here, right? We want you to come out here, and that's really hard for you. Have someone bring their hands down here, and again, they can go to one side or the other if they can get in front of you, the other, and then you're going to open up in an exaggerated step or a big step to the side so that you run into it, and use the physical sensation of someone's hands to guide you on how far you need to come apart. Otherwise, what will happen is you'll give me a couple good ones and then you'll start doing this. And notice your feet aren't crossing midline anymore. So that's really important. Again, you want to do this for 45 seconds to a minute. I'm going to go ahead and bring our camera back up here. So far we've covered 4 or 5 exercises to help improve motoricity, to address poor posture, whether it be by a condition, a heart neurologic condition such as Parkinson's, or whether it is by just a loss of neurological innervation due to age or poor posture from school, low tone from congenital things such as autism. And these can be really good, helpful remediation tools to help improve things. And then, of course, I did my video before. We should always be working whenever we have a movement thing on our vestibular. And again, holding our BOR exercises, holding our hand out 30 degrees below our nose, about 18 inches away from our face, focusing on the tip of our finger and turning our head back and forth as fast as we can go for 1 minute, then turning it and going like this. That should always be integrated in. For further information on your vestibulo-ocular reflex 1, see my video on that, and I go into that a little bit more in detail with that. So this is a pretty good start to get you moving on if you have movement disorders, which most of us do, to help bring better postural stability to our posterior spine, greater awareness to our brain, both in our extrapyramidal systems, and give good feedback mechanisms so that we can sit more upright and move smoother. If you do have a movement disorder, it's really important, that we work on those exaggerated steps in the office. I'm always telling you to take a big step, an exaggerated step, in order to get your feed forward mechanisms working a little better to help you move better. So again, you can see examples of functional neurology and movement disorders video for further examples of that. And again, if you have questions, feel free to contact me on the web at www.naturallywell.us, or you can reach us at the office at 607-729-0591. I wish you the very best. Come back often, visit us here at the Action Potential. Be well.